Shall I start, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, my dear young friends. Today, again, I brought you some more current affairs topics, current affairs issues related to art and culture. Again, I told you these are all the issues now which have appeared in the national level newspapers from 1st July to 31st March. 1st July 2020 to 31st March 21. Well, I'm continuing. Yesterday I have covered about 31. Now,
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Please continue. Please continue.
Yeah. India International Silk Fair. India International Silk Fair is conducted every year by Indian Silk Exports Promotion Council, a wing under Ministry of Textiles, Government of India. Indian Silk Exports Promotion Council. It takes care of popularizing Indian handmade and machine-made silk art forms in the whole world. It conducts exhibitions all over the world, selecting places, and then thus Indian silk market is constantly the demand for the Indian silk market is kept alive. Well, recently, in 2020 it happened, 21. Normally in September, October, this is the time this silk fair happens. I told you yesterday there are 4 kinds of silk: Mulberry, Tassar, Eri, and Moga. India is the second largest producer of silk, first being China. In India, Karnataka happens to be the state produces highest amount of silk, Mulberry silk. When you talk about Tassar silk, MP comes first, Bihar comes second. Bihar is inclusive of Jharkhand. Karnataka has about, now currently it has about 1 lakh hectares of mulberry under cultivation, and about 2 lakh farmer families are dependent on sericulture. Sericulture is nothing but rearing of silkworms. Producing silk is called sericulture. Karnataka is predominantly produces mulberry silk. Mulberry silk is from mulberry silkworm. Mulberry is the feeding material of those silkworms. Each cocoon, that means each worm, when it spins a cocoon, the silk, at least 1 kilometer long silk thread can be extracted from a single cocoon. You feel really astonished. Say, if you are measuring the length of a silkworm, silk thread coming out of a single cocoon is approximately 800 meters to 1 kilometer. It's a long continuous thread without any breaks. Next, Bharat Parv. Bharat Parv is a festival conducted by Ministry of Tribal Welfare, Government of India, in the premises of Red Fort every year. This showcases handicrafts, dance forms, paintings, and various art forms of India. It's like an exhibition. During that day, every art form is invited from all states. Each cultural department of each state coordinates this activity. Everybody is invited. and no, it is held for 15 days to 1 month, and it is a showcasing of Indian handicrafts, Indian art forms in a centralized place. It is happening since 2016 onwards. Then Khadi Village Industries Commission, KVIC, Khadi Village Industries Commission, KVIC. KVIC, why KVIC has come into recent news is that it has brought back and a dying art tradition of Arunachal Pradesh. This is called Mompa handmade paper. Mompa handmade paper, it almost lost its significance. It was dying almost now in Arunachal Pradesh. KVIC has brought back that old tradition again into prominence by supporting it. What is this Mompa? Mompa handmade paper. It has started one unit with its funds so that the tribals who are involved in Mompa handmade preparation can take the help of that unit, and all again can start this handmade preparation, handmade paper preparation. It is in Tawang district of Arunachal Pradesh. The paper is made from a particular plant called Shugusheng, SHUGUSHENG. Shugusheng is the name of the plant from which this handmade art paper is made. This Shugusheng has got this tree has got a medicinal values. That is why the handmade paper was thought to be a sacred paper. This is very much involved in the traditional and tribal culture of Arunachal Pradesh. Tribals have make it as a livelihood. They make the paper and then sell it. That way, their economy is linked to this preparation, handmade preparation. It is 1,000-year-old art form of Arunachal Pradesh. It's integral into vibrant culture of the local tribes. Why this is found to be sacred, this paper is used to write the Buddhist scriptures and hymns, particularly in Buddhist monasteries. They use this paper to write the sacred writings, right? I am moving on to the next topic. Sudharma. Sudharma is the country's only print magazine, comes in Sanskrit language. Sudharma is the only Sanskrit magazine that is printed in whole of the country. Sudharma. This is published from Mysore. It is 50-year-old paper magazine. Varadaraja Iyengar is the person who started it, continuing it. There is one more paper, one more Sanskrit paper. It's not really paper. It is a online site for Sanskrit literature that is called Viswasya Vrittantam. Viswasya Vrittantam. So, for promotion of Sanskrit, there are only one print magazine is available in the whole country. Another online site is available. It's not a print journal. It's an online site. Of course, for Sanskrit. Online site is called Viswasya Vrittantam. So they can ask a question saying that Viswasya Vrittantam is the only journal published in Sanskrit. Likewise, in statements, 3-4 statements can be given. You will have to find out the right one. Viswasya Vrittantam is only a site, online site, but Sudharma is the name of the Sanskrit magazine. Next, I'm talking about Guru Tej Bahadur. Guru Tej Bahadur is one of the Sikh Gurus, or ninth Sikh Guru, who were in human forms. Listen carefully. 10 Sikh Gurus were there. All were in human forms. That means no people. There were men. Out of that, Guru Tej Bahadur was the ninth Sikh Guru. There were 10 Sikh Gurus. 11th Sikh Guru is their religious book called Guru Granth Sahib. Is a religious book. Guru Granth Sahib is their 11th Sikh Guru for Sikh religion. Very important. Recently, Guru Tej Bahadur's 400th birth anniversary happened. PM happened to be the chairman of the committee. Anandpur Sahib was founded by Guru Tej Bahadur. Aurangzeb killed him in 1475 because he was not listening. He was asking, Aurangzeb asked Tej Bahadur to convert the Sikhs into Muslims, for which he rejected. Then Aurangzeb employed people to kill. Straight away, he was beheaded. I'm going to the next point. Statue of Peace. Statue of Peace. This is established. This is going to be established in Pali of Rajasthan. Pali is a place in Rajasthan. Here, this Statue of Peace is going to be established. Statue of Peace, not Statue of Liberty or no Statue of Unity. I'm not talking about Sardar Vallabhbhai. No, I'm talking about Statue of Peace, in whose commemoration it is going to be established. You don't know. I am also listening for the first time his name. On the 111th birth anniversary of a Jain monk called Vijaya Vallabha Sureshwarji Maharaj. Vijay Vallabh Sureshwarji Maharaj is the name of a Jain monk. His 111th birth anniversary is going to be celebrated. In his memory, his statue is going to be built in Pali of Rajasthan. He is a Jain monk. For this statue, it is not made up of iron, it's not made up of copper, it's not of gold. Ashtadhatu, 8 metal elements are used to prepare this statue. Those are the important points. Then, moving to the next point, 59 shards of pottery, shards, SHARDS, pieces. 59 pieces of pottery they have found in a place, in an archaeological site, place called Kotada Bhadli, KOTADA BHADLI, a village of archaeological site in Gujarat. Here, the importance is that this Indus Valley civilization, the site belongs to Indus Valley civilization. In this site, they found evidences that during Indus Valley civilization, dairy production was there. People knew about dairy production, milk production, or cows, milk is produced from cows and buffaloes. People knew it. They were continuing as a trade. People knew about a milk and their uses. And taking the butter out of milk, this also they contended. People knew it. How they discovered this? They have conducted DNA samples from the excavated sites. There, from the pieces, pottery pieces, they have given pottery pieces for molecular analysis. In molecular analysis, they found out there is a layer of lipids are there on the pottery pieces. That means no, a slimy kind of a gloom, gloomy glue kind of it no is there. Part surface is not very clear. It was little slimy. Then they thought when lipid is there to the piece of a part, automatically that is coming from the milk or no milk are churned. No, this lipid is getting no added to the pottery pieces. That's how they got the evidence that dairy production was known to Indus Valley civilization people. Another thing they found out, during that time, cows are fed with the millets. How again now this is found out? They have taken the samples of the DNA samples of the teeth of those cows. Those teeth, the formation, and then no, the analysis of teeth mentioned, the teeth were meant in such a way that no, millets can be churned, chewed, and then no, that digested by the animals. So two things, cows were there, of course you have seen the pictures and all that cow sculptures, everything was found out. However, people knew dairy production in the Indus Valley civilization, and the cows were fed with the millets. These are the important points related to Kotada Badli, a place in Gujarat. Moving to the next point, Mopla Rebellion, M-O-P-L-A-H. Mopla Rebellion is a rebellion happened in Malabar district. A government book mentioned that recently it mentioned originally that Malabar movement or Mopla Rebellion was thought of a rebellion against the British Empire. These are all no pre-independence 1857, prior to 1857 movements. These are all at different places, different movements happened in a small segment of people. They turned against British for some reason or the other. Either it can be a local reason or the broader reason. Here, this Mopla Rebellion in Malabar district, a government book recently mentioned that the Malabar movement need not be taken as a struggle for independence movement. But if it's not a struggle for independence, what was it? Yes, it was a result of an agitation carried out by two Muslim organizations. So it completes 80 years recently. In 2020, this movement completes 80 years. It was for some reason a sectarial movement. That means no two factions in Muslims fought against each other, but it was not a rebellion against the British people. Government has clarified it recently. Till that time, it is considered it's an initial movement against the British, but it is not. I'm going to the next point, handicrafts. Handicrafts, yesterday we discussed, I think 5-6 types or now 8 types of handicrafts. I'm going to few more handicrafts. Bidri ware. Bidri ware is again a kind of a filigree art, silver filigree art, but it's on black surfaces. This silver kind of filigree work will be done. This is called Bidri ware. It is prominent in Bidar of Karnataka.
Can you spell the word?
Next point, Sikki Gran Craft. Sikki Gran Craft. Sikki Gran. Sikki Gran. It is golden, yellow, green threads, thread work from Bihar. Sikki Gran. Next is Sarkanda grass. Again, one of the crafts. Sarkanda. Sarkanda grass is one kind of a grass you find in Haryana. It dried grass is again made into form of a craft various items will be prepared with this dry grass. This is called Sarkenda grass. This is only prominent in Haryana, not in any other state, because the grass is available there only. Another grass art is there. It is called Jadu Patwa grass. This is another kind of a grass. This Jadu Patwa is another art form limited to Jharkhand. These are all now very much limited to area. That particular art form can never be seen in any other, even adjacent state also it's not seen. That is the important significance of these art forms. Moving on to the next one, I'm talking about Renati Chola era. Renati Chola, Chola, Renati Chola is an area called Renadu under Chola Empire. The people who were nominees of Chola who ruled Renadu area is nothing but the Kadapa district of Andhra Pradesh. That is the Renadu area. Renati Chola, how it came into prominence recently, in Kadapa district, an inscription was found very recently. This inscription belonged to Chola dynasty and it is written in Telugu language. So this mentioned Cholas were the Telugu rulers of Kadapa area. The Renadu area was ruled by Cholas. This inscription gave evidence that Kadapa area was also under Chola Empire then. Next, Patru Ghat uprising in Assam. Patru Ghat. Patru Ghat uprising in Assam. Uprising, rebellion in Assam. It's in 1894. It's a peasant uprising against British. Farmers' agitation against the British. Why farmers agitated? British fixed 60 to 70% of the produce has to be paid as a tax to the government. People were against that. They fought against British on this. This is called Patru Ghat uprising. It's happened in Assam. Next point is also related to Assam. Jeranga Pothar. Jerenga Pothar. Jeranga Pothar is a place in Shibusagar district of Assam. Prime Minister during his election campaign visited this place. The significance in 17th century, Queen Jayamati ruled this Jeranga Pothar and she attained martyrdom in that place called Jeranga Pothar. Queen Jayamati was married to an Ahom prince. Ahom is nothing but Assam. An Assam prince, Assamese prince. After that, she ruled. After the death of the prince, Queen Jayamati protected the empire, that kingdom, against the British and other invaders. She attained her martyrdom in the place called Jeranga Pothar, which is in Shibusagar district of Assam. PM paid tributes to Queen Jayamati on his visit. Another point which I am going to talk again relates to Assam. Dhekia Juli, Dhekia Juli. Dhekia Juli is again another place where PM went in Assam. Here, the significance of this place is, in Dhekia Juli, first Indian youngest freedom struggle movement happened. It was called Mrutyu Bahini. Mrutyu Bahini was a group of youngest people. They formed they fought for the first time for Indian independence, Indian freedom struggle. Here, a 12-year-old girl called Tileshwari Barua, a 12-year-old girl named Tileshwari Barua, she was killed during that moment. Tileshwari Barua happened to be the youngest freedom fighter, freedom struggle martyr in the history of Indian freedom struggle. That's the importance. And Dekia Juli was the place where this fight happened. Okay. Going to next point. Terracotta object with Brahmi inscription of Mauryan period was found in Medak district, a place called Kulcharam in Andhra Pradesh recently. This Kulcharam is on the bank of Manjira river. The inscription, the language written in which the inscription was found is Prakrit. It belonged to Mauryan period. Next point, Prabuddha Bharat. Prabuddha Bharat is a journal. It completed recently 125 years of its existence. It is published as a monthly by Ramakrishna Order. Prabuddha Bharat name is given by Swami Vivekananda to manifest spirit of India as a nation. Next point. I told you when I was talking about dances and music, intangible world UNESCO World Heritage Sites, intangible World Heritage art forms. So in 2020, UNESCO has added one form under its intangible World Heritage art forms. In 2020, this is the recent one. This is Singapore's hawker culture. Singapore, many hawkers will be there in the market. When you go to the roads, the road point, hawker culture is very much, that hawker culture is different what we see here. That Singapore's hawker culture, because it is maintaining its tradition for the years, not many changes people are seeing, that is considered by UNESCO to preserve it as an intangible form which needed to be continued and then which needed to be promoted. So in 2020, one more addition happened to UNESCO's intangible World Heritage art forms is Singapore's hawker culture. Moving on to Pagdi Sambhal movement. Pagdi Sambhal movement. It's a farm agitation against British in 1907. British ruled out that farmer is not the owner of the land. He is only a contractor of the land. When government said, British people said, the land doesn't belong to a farmer, farmer will have no rights on the land. Immediately, a peasant movement has started. All farmers got agitated against the British. This is called Pagdi Sabhal. They thought it is a prestigious point. Retaining land is nothing but retaining a Pagdi headgear on their head. If they are losing a land means they are losing their prestige. That means their headgear is removed. That they feel as a real insult. They all fought against British. This is the Pagdi Sambhal movement. They can relate it now. They can ask Pagdi Sambhal movement is related to farmer movement or some other cadres or militant movement. Some sentences can be given as statements. Out of that, if you are sure of an answer, you would immediately tick mark the Pagdi Sambhal movement is related to farmer agitation against British. Next, oldest cave painting. Very recently, excavation happened in Indonesia. They found out a mural, wherein that means mural is a painting on the wall. They found this painting. The painting happened to be 40,000. It's believed to be 40,000 years old. This is the oldest cave painting in the world. This is in Indonesia. Probably it's some more another. The topic is going to come once again, where some more details will come there. Simply remember this: in Indonesia, it's a mural. There, the full-fledged wild boar. It's a wild boar. It's a kind of wild pig. That painting in a bigger form was found on the mural. That is the significance. It is oldest, 45,000-year-old. It's a mural found in Indonesia. Object of painting was warty wild boar. Next point, rhinoplasty. Rhinoplasty, angioplasty, rhinoplasty. Rhinoplasty is surgery to nose. Nose surgery is called rhinoplasty. Sri Devi, many times she went under the knife. That means she changed the shape of her nose. Whoever is under plastic surgery, whoever is concentrating on changing the shape of the nose, that is called rhinoplasty. This rhinoplasty was found to be a very old surgery technique. This was found in Sushruta Samhita way back thousands years ago. In Sushruta Samhita, written by Sushruta, who is named as a father of Indian surgery, he mentioned about rhinoplasty in his Sushruta Samhita for the first time. That means rhinoplasty is not a new technique found by our people. It is mentioned long back. Next point. Recently,
We will join once again, sir.
yes, madam.
Yeah. Dear students, please join again.